Our Torah begins with the story of the birthday of the world, telling of its creation in these words. Breshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. When God began to create heaven and earth. Ve'haaretz hayta tohu vavohu choshech al pnei tehom ve'ruach Elohim merachefet al pnei hamayim. The earth being unformed and void with darkness over the surface of the deep, and a wind from God sweeping over the water. Vayomer Elohim yehi or, vayehi or. God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. There was only darkness in the beginning. And then there was this wind, a breath, the soul of God. And then God spoke light into being. In Judaism, we celebrate our God. And many texts emphasize that the reason for that celebration is because God liberated us from Egypt. And that's a great reason. And on this Rosh Hashanah day, this birthday of the world day, we particularly celebrate God because God created the amazing world that we live in. And the first piece of that creation was to take the only darkness place and transform it by adding light. There is so much comfort to me in this that God did at the beginning of creation. Somehow, God made light. I can't imagine such a thing. Sure, I can light a match, and I can switch a light on in my house. Easy peasy, right? But what God did, it was truly a miracle. And whether or not we really believe that this actually happened, I have to agree that light is miraculous. It is the stuff of color, of rainbows, of sparkles, of glistening on water. It lets us see each other's smiles and so much beauty in the world. And when light comes out of darkness, that is even more of a miracle. That is the stuff of hope. We are told in the Torah just moments after we read about how light is created that we are made b'tselem Elohim, in the image of God. And this essentially means we have holiness inside of us that looks like God's, and we can do as God does, or we can try and maybe we'll get close. Clearly, I cannot manifest light in the darkness when I just say it should be so, the way God can. But maybe I can in some other way. There is a song I love from the play Hamilton. Hamilton is about our country's founding fathers, and it goes like this. Love doesn't discriminate between the sinners and the saints. It takes and it takes and it takes, and we keep loving anyway. We laugh and we cry and we break and we make our mistakes. And another verse in that song says, death doesn't discriminate between the sinners and the saints. It takes and it takes and it takes. And we keep living anyway. We rise and we fall and we break and we make our mistakes. Despite all of our imperfections as humans and all that might come at us in our lives, we keep on keeping on. We Keep loving and living and rising and laughing and trying and hoping and giving and helping. And I think that this is how we actually and powerfully make light in the world. And we can even do so when there is darkness. Tomorrow and throughout these days of awe, we will chant the words of the Unatana Tokef, the haunting poem that lifts up that we do not know what the outcome of the coming year will be. Our future, as of now, is yet unwritten. And as the year progresses, we will write our lives. We will help craft what will be our destiny. And some of this will be what we write, what we do, and some of it will write us. It will happen to us because life, biology, chemistry, anatomy, physics, astronomy, geology, timing, luck, for good, for bad, has a way of happening regardless of what we do. But there is that part that we can do, says the Unatana Tokef. Teshuvah, tefillah, tzedakah. Teshuvah is returning to the pure essence within, to the center of our being, getting grounded, coming home, finding shalom, wholeness, finding shalom, peace. It's about healing and repair. It's about letting go of that which no longer serves us and embracing that which does. And this is a way that we can cultivate our inner light. Tefillah is about hoping anyway, with our prayers, with our yearnings, remembering that there is mystery and love and so much preciousness and beauty. And we place our trust in that which is beyond ourselves. We keep our sights on that which is true and good and just. And this is a way that we can be in relationship with light. With tzedakah, we give of ourselves, from our resources, with our deeds, towards a more just, whole, and repaired world. And this is a way we can actually manifest light and life in the world. And all of this equals us continuing to keep loving and living anyway. And all of this equals light. My friend Rabbi Helen Plotkin writes that these three things, teshuvah, tefillah, tzedakah, change our character in the unfolding plot of our stories. When you read a novel, she says, you don't appreciate the characters on the basis of whether they live long lives with no loss. What you appreciate is the depth and the richness of the characters' lives. Teshuvah, tefillah, and tzedakah can change your story into one worth reading, and even when we can't change the plot, it is the strength of our character that can make the story rich and strong. That power is in your hands as you cultivate the self to whom it will happen. Teshuvah, tefillah, and tzedakah are there to help you write yourself into a role worth reading. Rabbi Toba Spitzer adds to this. She says, through these practices of tefillah, teshuvah, and tzedakah, we can face our existential terrors. We're neither in control nor completely powerless. There is a way out of suffering, and it lies with us in our intentions and our actions. So when life invariably does that thing that it will do, taking us to where we don't want to be, to a plot line we never planned for ourselves or for others, we have a recipe for walking through. Teshuvah, tefillah, tzedakah. And with these things, we can face the world. We can walk through in strength and in dignity. We can show up for others. We can make a difference. The High Holy Days are 10 days of intensive training on thinking about how we want to live, given the certainty that there will be uncertainties in our lives. There will be storms, chaos, unrest, illness, and heartbreak in our personal lives and in the larger life of the world all around us. And yet we are urged on by the Unatana Tokef to greet our lives by treasuring our lives and remembering that we have a role to play by actively living and loving. Our daily morning Yotzer Or prayer begins. Baruch atah Adonai Yotzer Or uvorei choshech, osei Shalom uvorei et hakol. Blessed are you, creator of light and darkness, maker of peace and everything. As we greet each new day, we acknowledge that every day holds both darkness and light. And this same prayer ends with Baruch atah Adonai Yotzer HaMeorot. Blessed are you, creator of the lights. Even with our acceptance of all that is possible in our everyday, the light and the darkness, we see and bless just how much light there is. The sun, the moon, stars, rainbows, sparkles, reflections, lightning bugs. And you, and me, and how we each bring our light into the world. There are so many lights. This gives me great hope. We begin our High Holy Days journey in earnest this evening, and as we do, let us wrap ourselves in some of the words of empowerment and hope that are found in Psalm 27. It's a psalm that we read every day in the month leading up to this New Year's Day. Don't let me get lost in my soul suffering. I will trust in the wholeness of everything. My heart says, I am looking for you. I will trust in the truth of the way things are and fill my heart with power and courage. Teach me the way of presence. I will then hope for presence with a strong heart, full of courage. Yes, I will have hope. May our sufferings not engulf us. May trust and hope light our way. May we be strengthened with power and courage to live our lives, to love in our lives. May we be lovingly present to who we actually are, revealing the darkness as well as the sparkles and rainbows unique to each of us. May we remember that we are the co-authors with the divine of who we will be as we live and love. May we become the eloquent characters in our stories that we want to read, who inspire us and call us to showing up with our love and our hope. And may all of this be the stuff of so much more light in the world. Because yes, we can make light in the world. L'Shana Tova. Happy New Year.